the first victim wasn't a stranger, but his own son. Freddy P just exposed secrets that could destroy Diddy's legacy, and Quincy Brown Jr. may be the missing link in one of the darkest stories the music industry has ever seen. For much of his life in the public eye, Quincy Brown Jr. was seen as a calm, well-mannered, and artistically driven young man, someone who carried himself with quiet confidence and emotional maturity far beyond his years. As the biological son of singer Al B. Sure and the late model and actress Kim Porter, Quincy was born into fame but never leaned into the chaos that often follows celebrity children. Instead, he carved out a space as an actor, musician, and fashion figure, gaining respect for his individuality and clean image. When Kim Porter entered a relationship with music mogul Sean "Diddy" Combs, Quincy was still very young. Over time, Diddy stepped in as a father figure, eventually adopting him and publicly embracing him as his son. From the outside, it looked like Quincy was one of the fortunate ones, a young man raised and mentored by one of the most powerful figures in the music industry. For years, that narrative held firm. He appeared in photos with Diddy, praised him in interviews, and was frequently seen supporting the family publicly. But now, everything about that relationship is being re-examined under a darker and more disturbing lens. As serious allegations mount against Diddy, including manipulation, abuse, and federal investigations, Quincy's name is unexpectedly surfacing, not as a bystander, but as someone who may have been much closer to the core of it all. His continued silence, his public appearances beside Diddy, and his Instagram posts supporting him have led many to question whether his loyalty is genuine or the product of years of emotional conditioning. Some now wonder if Quincy was not just a witness to Diddy's behavior, but possibly a victim, molded from a young age to obey, protect, and stay silent. What once looked like loyalty is now being seen by some as trauma. The clean-cut image may have been a shield hiding a deeper pain, and with the world watching, Quincy Brown Jr.'s silence is beginning to speak volumes. When Freddy P spoke out, his words weren't careful or calculated. They were raw, emotional, and impossible to ignore. As a former member of Diddy's group Da Band, Freddy had long expressed anger about how the music industry mistreated him. But this time, his target was clear: Sean "Diddy" Combs. And at the center of his accusations wasn't just Diddy, it was Quincy Brown Jr. In an unexpected turn, Freddy claimed that Diddy's alleged manipulation didn't start with artists or women. It began with Quincy, the young boy the public knew as Diddy's adopted son. Freddy didn't mince words. He suggested Quincy wasn't simply mentored or cared for. He was emotionally groomed. He claimed the relationship between Diddy and Quincy went beyond father and son, hinting at an intimacy that felt unnatural. In Freddy's eyes, Quincy didn't just admire or respect Diddy. He seemed fixated, even in love. That claim alone sparked outrage and disbelief. But Freddy doubled down, pointing to Quincy's consistently soft-spoken demeanor and emotional closeness to Diddy as signs of deeper psychological control. What made the allegations more disturbing was the suggestion that Quincy's identity had been shaped by Diddy from a young age. Freddy implied that Diddy emotionally isolated Quincy, molding him into someone obedient and deeply loyal. To the public, this looked like a strong family bond. But under Freddy's interpretation, it was something darker. A relationship built not on love, but on control. Quincy's silence, his presence beside Diddy in court, and his refusal to publicly comment. These behaviors now seemed less like respect and more like the result of years of mental conditioning. The internet lit up. Social media users began revisiting old photos, interviews, and footage, noting how Quincy mirrored Diddy's style, language, and even emotional tone. Some drew comparisons to Diddy's ex Cassie, saying Quincy looked and acted like a male version of her. Suddenly, the closeness between Diddy and Quincy didn't look fatherly. It looked rehearsed, orchestrated, and possibly exploitative. Despite the mounting legal cases, damning headlines, and explosive public backlash aimed at Sean "Diddy" Combs, one person has remained consistently by his side: Quincy Brown Jr. In a time when former associates, collaborators, and even family friends have distanced themselves from Diddy, Quincy has continued to appear in public with him, even walking into court alongside the embattled mogul. To many, this public loyalty appears baffling. With Diddy facing federal investigations, accusations of abuse, trafficking, and manipulation, the idea that anyone, let alone Quincy, would still be standing beside him has triggered intense speculation. But behind that visible show of unity, insiders are suggesting there's a deeper, more complex motive at play. According to people close to the situation, Quincy's continued presence isn't about defending Diddy, it's about protecting what's left of his family. Following the tragic death of his mother, Kim Porter, Quincy stepped into a more central role within the Combs household. Sources say he has taken on the responsibility of watching over his younger siblings, Kim and Diddy's biological children, who are now caught in the crossfire of their father's legal collapse. With their mother gone and their father's world unraveling, Quincy may be the only stable adult figure they can rely on. This theory gained traction when Quincy posted a lengthy message on Instagram, not directly defending Diddy, but emphasizing the strength of family and the chaos of misinformation. He wrote, "We stand united, supporting you every step of the way. We hold on to the truth. Nothing will break the strength of our family." While the words sounded loyal, many read between the lines, suggesting Quincy was trying to calm public speculation while keeping the spotlight away from his younger siblings. It may not be about Diddy at all. It may be about survival, strategy, and a quiet effort to keep what's left of his family from falling apart. What appears as blind loyalty could, in reality, be a calculated decision to stay close for reasons far more selfless than most understand. As the legal firestorm around Diddy grows, Quincy Brown's silence has become one of the most puzzling pieces of the puzzle. While many in the industry have distanced themselves from Diddy, Quincy continues to appear by his side, maintaining a calm, composed public image. To some, this looks like unwavering loyalty, but for others, it's a sign that something deeper, and possibly darker, is at play. The big question is, why is he still there? One explanation is that Quincy isn't standing beside Diddy out of loyalty to him, but out of love for his younger siblings. With their mother Kim Porter gone and Diddy's world collapsing, those kids are vulnerable, and Quincy may feel it's his responsibility to protect them. His public support could be less about Diddy and more about preserving some sense of family unity during a chaotic time. In this light, Quincy's silence isn't compliance, it's sacrifice. But there's also a growing belief that Quincy might be staying close not just to protect, but to watch and wait. Some speculate he's gathering information quietly, playing the long game before possibly speaking out or cooperating with authorities. If this is true, his silence is not weakness, but calculation. He may be walking a dangerous tightrope, staying close enough to keep access, but far enough to avoid going down with Diddy when the truth fully breaks. Then there's a more troubling theory, one rooted in psychology. Some believe Quincy may be emotionally trapped, the victim of a trauma bond formed through years of manipulation. If he was groomed from a young age to depend on Diddy, to seek his approval and confuse control with care, then breaking away might not even feel possible. His restraint, his emotional discipline, and his continued silence could be the product of deep mental conditioning, not choice. Whether Quincy is protecting, planning, or still under psychological control, his silence speaks volumes. The man once seen as the quiet, artistic son now appears to be much closer to the heart of this storm, and possibly to the truth itself. The death of Kim Porter in 2018 was a devastating moment, not just for her children, but for everyone who admired her strength, beauty, and quiet influence behind the scenes. Officially, her passing was ruled as complications from pneumonia. But even at the time, something about it didn't sit right. There were whispers in the industry, murmurs from people close to her, and doubts among fans who questioned how a healthy, vibrant woman could suddenly die so young under such vague circumstances. Now, in the light of recent allegations against Sean Diddy Combs, Kim's death is being looked at through a very different lens. Some believe it wasn't just a tragedy. It was the turning point in a long, calculated pattern of control. In the months before her death, there were persistent rumors that Kim had been planning to write a tell-all memoir. People close to her claimed she had grown increasingly uncomfortable with what she'd witnessed over the years in the entertainment world and in her own home. According to these whispers, she was preparing to expose secrets not just about the industry, but about Diddy himself. If that's true, her sudden death didn't just silence a mother. It removed the one woman who may have held the power to stop Diddy in his tracks. With Kim gone, Quincy was left without the two people who had always protected him. His biological father, Al B. Sure, had fallen into a mysterious coma just before Kim's death. Then suddenly, Kim herself was gone. Diddy remained, now not just the father figure, but the sole authority over Quincy and his siblings. To some, the timing and the aftermath are too unsettling to ignore. Kim's absence left Quincy emotionally stranded, with no blood parent to turn to and no strong maternal voice to challenge Diddy's influence. It gave Diddy uncontested control, not only over Kim's legacy and their children, but over Quincy's future, his decisions, and perhaps even his voice. The theory that Kim's death was more than a tragic accident now feels less like a conspiracy and more like a disturbing possibility. In a world full of NDAs, silenced voices, and hidden power plays, her death may have been the final move that allowed Diddy to consolidate control and leave Quincy utterly alone. Quincy Brown Jr. stands at the center of growing speculation, either as a silent witness, a hidden victim, or both. His quiet presence beside Diddy during one of the most turbulent moments in the mogul's life has raised more questions than answers. With his biological father, Al B. Sure, having endured a mysterious coma, and his mother, Kim Porter, dying under suspicious circumstances, Quincy was left vulnerable, possibly under Diddy's full control. Now, as pressure mounts and the truth threatens to surface, all eyes are on Quincy. The world wants to know, is he protecting his siblings, preserving secrets, or preparing to speak out? With each silent step he takes, the mystery grows deeper. But one thing is certain, Quincy's next move could change everything.